came back home to a world so strange, a battlefield memory that would never quite change. And he found her smile, a beacon of light. They said I do on a starry night. In the van of Valor they're rolling away, highlighting heroes who faced the fray with a heart full of courage and a map in hand, telling their stories across this great land. Sold the old house, left everything behind, a dream in their heads and a mission in mind, helping folks remember those who gave their all for freedom's price, no matter how small. In the van of Valor they're rolling away, highlighting heroes who faced the fray with a heart full of courage and a map in hand, telling their stories across this great land. Sold the old house, left everything behind, a dream in their heads and a mission in mind, helping folks remember those who gave their all for freedom's price, no matter how small. In the van of Valor they're rolling away, highlighting heroes who faced the fray with a heart full of courage and a map in hand, telling their stories across this great land. Purple hearts shine brighter than gold, stories of the brave waiting to be told. They carry their names wherever they go, keep the love alive where the winds still blow. Through mountain roads and sunlit plains, celebrate and sacrifice their joys and pains. Each tear they trace, each hand they hold, building bridges with stories never old. In the van of Valor they're rolling away, highlighting heroes who faced the fray with a heart full of courage and a map in hand, telling their stories across this great land, telling their stories across this great land.
Welcome to HomeFront Sitrep. I hope you're in for a great show today, because I'm just a veteran trying to know what's on my mind and maybe
you can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can also check out HomeFront Sitrep's YouTube channel.
buckle up, the show is starting.
In the air
Welcome, everybody, to a Monday edition of HomeFront Sitrep. How is everybody doing? Gunny, how are you, sir?
Good, man. Rested a little bit. Had a crazy weekend trying to come back from Maine. A lot of delays, a lot of time in DC, a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of struggles, and all while having my 14-year-old with me. So, but yeah, I'm home now. Finally, got home yesterday, late afternoon, I guess, or early morning, late morning. I don't know. I got home sometime yesterday, anyway. And then started the honeydew list and. Yeah, I'm here, and I was watching the video, like paying attention to it this time, instead of just sitting there listening to the song and jamming out. And I couldn't help but think about all that footage that's on there, and our guest tonight, and what his job was prior to what he's doing now, and how he could have captured all of that. But I'll let him talk about that when he comes on. I love Kevin and Lauren. I've known Kevin for a while, and I'm excited about what they're doing. And then and Sonny too, traveling along with them. But yeah, I can't wait for tonight's guest for sure.
Heck yeah. Miss Candace, how are you? I know you made a post here not too long ago, like 20 minutes ago, that today's not been a great day for you. So how are you doing?
I'm here. So I called my boss and told him that I quit about 6 times today. And my assistant today, I told her, and she just kept laughing at me and saying no. And I kept trying to hand her my keys. It was bad. It was just a bad day. And it was with tenants. It was with random people. And sorry, I'm just going to speak on this because, that's what we do here. But there was a lady that walked into my office today, and in absolutely no way did she need a storage unit, but she needed somebody. And hellion cat, is in a horrifically dangerous situation, and is terrified. This woman, I spent almost 2 hours with her today and had officers there to lead her where she needed to be and got her down to the Center for Women and Families. And my heart's heavy. It's real heavy with that. She's not a veteran or anything like that, but she's a human. And she just needed somebody that could actually help her and somebody that would listen. And it was rough on top of everything else. We had some break-ins. There was some very angry people today. There was just crazy stuff, but I had a really good friend that came and knows my obsession with cows and brought me one of those ones that you get warmed up in the microwave and was like, here, maybe this will make you smile. And that thing sat on my lap and it went out on the golf cart with me all day, and I just patted it. And then, of course, one of my Marine Corps League buddies, he stopped in and saw me, and I hadn't seen him in a while. And he's like, I just wanted to check on you. And I'm like, you know what? Sometimes it just takes those little things that go, I can breathe. I can make it through this. And then as soon as 6 o'clock hit, I was like, I'm out. I need to go do this podcast to get my mind off of it. So I'm here.
I love it. I love that there's people that are, checking in on you and everything. I know I checked in on Ryan a couple times today. He's still at the hospital with his wife. Second surgery went amazing. So tomorrow, he made a post earlier and said they're rounding the third, heading home because they have the final surgery tomorrow to remove. So they're doing a craniotomy. Is that what it's called? Where they're going to open it up and take the AVM out. And to put her back together and hopefully slowly start waking her up, which is what for him, that's what's been, not being able to talk to her. She's laying in the bed, incubated and sedated, not being able to talk to her. And there were some hiccups with her fever spiking and stuff like that. But hopefully everything's going good. And I'm told Julie earlier today, I said, I'm probably going to wind up after the podcast going up there and spending a couple hours with him. Just, take him some food because I guarantee the boy hasn't ate. Take him some food and just sit there and hang out with him because he's by himself. His kids are not up there. He's got no family here. So I'm going to go up there and I'm going to hang out with him for a couple hours. Got some exciting news earlier today. The HomeFront Sitrep coins will be here tomorrow. Will be delivered tomorrow. I'm super stoked. I can't wait to have them in hand. Gunny and I, we've did these coins how long ago? A while back.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
And finally got them ordered. Finally got them en route. I got the tracking number from Brent Casey from Valor Coins and Pins, and I've been checking it every day. And finally today I looked at it. I looked at it today, and it said arriving tomorrow. I'm like, yes. So I'm super excited about that, man.
When I get my tracking stuff, I check it 2 or 3 times a day.
Yeah,
because I don't want to miss. I don't let it lie to you. Yeah, I don't want it to be left, right? And it's a heavy box, right? I order 100 at a time of my coins, and like when FedEx or DHL or whoever's brings it, I was like, man, I got to be at the house when they're here because I want to watch that struggle when they come out of that van with that box.
Well, so we got 100 of the HomeFront Sitrep coins, and they're not small coins.
Nope.
They're business card style. So,
are you gonna go to work tomorrow?
Well, yeah, I got to go to work. If I don't, you know who would kick my butt, man?
Oh, I know.
So, man, I'm super excited. And the website, we do have the link for the hats, the HomeFront Sitrep hats on there. It is live. She's going to donate 20% of each hat sale back to HomeFront Sitrep so we can continue our mission. When talking about veteran unaliving themselves, because we are live on TikTok as well. So I have to say unaliving themselves, and the 22 a day to help combat the 22 a day. And then tonight, Gunny, you want to talk about our guest tonight?
Yeah. Kevin and Lauren Wallace and their companion, Sonny. So Kevin is an Air Force veteran, was a combat correspondent for a number of years. His last assignment was one of his last assignments was Air Force One. So I got to meet Kevin through Warrior Weekend, through Blue Skies and Good Guys and Girls Warrior Foundation. He's come back a few times, and I will tell you right now, the Kevin Wallace today is not the Kevin Wallace I met years ago. That dude has, changed for the better. He has found art as his therapy, and I am honored enough to share a display with him at the National Purple Heart Hall of Honor. So their new recovery center, their section up there focuses on just that, the recovery of the veteran after they return home. And in that display, there's Kevin made a kite out of some of his fatigues, BDUs, uniform, whatever you want to call it. And then in the lower section is Echo's vest and a little bit of our story about her being my service dog and what she does for me. So then, he moved to North Carolina, met Lauren, and they decided, crazy enough, to buy a FedEx, Sprinter van, convert the thing. And now they're traveling the country to gather stories of Purple Heart recipients and Gold Star families. And, to get those stories out there, right? Because, there's the National Purple Heart Hall of Honor, and there's other things like that out there to preserve those stories. But Kevin and Lauren are recording and photos and doing all this stuff to make a book, like a coffee table book or digital, and just to have it all out there for more people to gather. So I'm excited for their journey, for their travels. They're already down in Florida. Don't know where they're heading after that, but I do know that they will be back this area in August for Warrior Weekend. So I'm excited to see them again and watch their travels with them and Sonny. So without further ado, let's bring in Kevin and Lauren and let them talk for a little bit.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Hey, guys.
Welcome.
Thanks for that introduction, Sam.
I try, man. I try.
You kill it. That's I guess Sam's done. Our part's done.
Man.
To touch slightly on what Sam was saying earlier about me being dark in the past, definitely true. And that's really the crux of why we're doing this mission. And I'm sure we're going to get to that at some point. But, if we need to bring a little bit of that darkness up to make people understand why we're doing it, that's fine. I like being the happy Kevin. I like that Sam likes the happy Kevin. But sometimes, we can bring up some ugly shit too. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Well, no, thank you guys for coming on here and taking time out of y'all's mission and hanging out with us for this hour. I'm super excited to learn more because you guys, you're newlyweds. You just got married not too long ago. You sold everything and bought a van and decided to travel the country. And you're looking for the Purple Heart veterans out there and the Gold Star families, and you want to highlight them because we know a lot of Purple Heart veterans out there don't want to be recognized. They're not on that book. There's a book of Purple Heart veterans. They're not in that book because they don't want to be recognized. And what you guys are doing is trying to find those Purple Heart veterans so you can tell their story, because we all know us as veterans, we're not going to tell our stories unless we have to. And that's awesome that you two have decided this is our mission in life. This is our next chapter. And it's amazing that you guys are going to be spending all this time together to create something that's going to be beautiful. So do y'all want to talk about that a little bit?
I'll jump on real quick, Willis. It's something about going to someone's door. And for me, this idea opened up early in COVID when Sam mentioned Blue Skies, when David Hart and I were doing some work down in Montgomery, Alabama, I think it was. But then I printed a photograph that I had taken and brought it to a Medal of Honor recipient named Benny Davis, who's now passed shortly after that, actually. But it was COVID. He wasn't really having visitors. This man, earned the Medal of Honor for his country. He was, his story is remarkable. I could talk endlessly about that. But coming to his door with this thing, and what I felt emulate from him, that not even in so many words, but I could see it touched him deeply. And it was, I don't know, it was a profound experience. So that's one thing that I want to say that we're doing, that we're not asking anyone to come to us or to come to DC or meet us anywhere. That's the point of this van. We'll go anywhere we can get it, which actually we're learning is less places than we'd like. So if we need to park it somewhere and hike, we'll do that too.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense, because it is a nice sized van, so it's not like one of the small compact Sprinter vans you see. It's actually a decent size. Now, did you guys go in and gut it and set it up for traveling? Is that what you guys did?
Yeah. A lot of that bubble and things you see on the top, Lauren trusts me, thankfully, because she looked out the upstairs window a lot of times like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, babe, I got an idea. She wanted me to show her on paper, but I'm like, I can't do that. But I've got this idea. It's going to work. Just trust me. And yeah, that's what happened. But I think it's pretty good.
It's waterproof, and we can see the stars at night.
Has it rained yet?
Yes.
Okay.
We knew very quickly where the leaks are, and we quickly pulled underneath a gas station awning, and we had a tube of this liquid asphalt. So here's Sunny freaking out on the little couch, and they're going, "Our house is falling in!" And we have this asphalt. We're just pasting it in the ceiling, and then when the rain stops, we're finally able to go through with proper sealant and replastic it all. But out of every struggle, it's a chance for us to grow even more. And it's like, okay, we can assess each other's problem solving abilities now, or we can get this shit done. Or sorry, am I allowed to say that word on here?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
No. So I did hear that there was leaks, and you got to remember, sometimes, Lauren, he was Air Force. Like,
oh shit, here we go. I knew it wouldn't be long.
It's okay, I'm an Army brat.
I have really thin skin and I get offended easily.
So that's why you got Lauren, because she's an Army brat. She actually knows how to get things done.
Oh my God.
Making a tent can be fixed with tape or some ingenuity.
Oh, she just didn't want to marry a knuckle dragger.
Oh God. Oh man, I'm offended.
Hey, he's known him for a long time. I knew I could do this. This is great.
No, I see Marine Corps right behind you. You're not Army.
No, I'm Marine.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm Marine strong on here.
Yeah, so Kevin, Willis and I met at recruit training, and then we went to our follow-on school at Camp Geiger for School of Infantry, and then we got stationed in the same unit for the first 3 years of our career. So that's where I met Willis. So yeah, it's we've known each other for a couple decades.
A long time.
They share crowns a lot.
I don't share my crayons.
Yeah, I don't share crowns either, bro. But so you guys are in Florida right now, and have you met up with people that you were planning on meeting up with there, and then where are you guys planning on going from there?
Yeah, we've met up with everyone plus some. Well, actually, a sad thing is before we got to Florida too, for our local ones in this town, Vietnam people have passed on, but with the exception of that, we went to talk to a Marine, Ingrid English, and before we got to talk to her, the night before, another Marine approached us outside of VFW. We were plugged in, and said his buddy was a recipient and he could tell his story. So we recorded his story on the fly in a loud VFW. The audio is terrible, but he wanted to tell it. I can't tell a Vietnam guy no. I'm not a Purple Heart recipient, not a guy who wants to tell the story. However, he did leave out that he was shot.
I think we're getting some wind interference on your end, Kevin.
A lot of wind.
We don't want to miss this.
I'll stack this.
The ingenuity. There you go.
Much better.
Okay. So anyway, we record his story and it's really loud and it's not good. And he tells us this whole story and the one correction. So we put it online and everything, but his buddy the next day from the same platoon pulls us aside and he's like, where'd he tell you he got shot?
In the leg.
In the leg. He's like, he got shot in the ass. I'm like, oh man, I can't go back and re-record it. But I'm like, you know what? So I like, here's this audio recorder. Tell me the story of what really happened. So we take the story. So we got that one. Just had fun with them. And then a Gold Star family, the Morrisons, which is a tough one. And then Joel Tavera, Army guy, we talked to him about 3 days ago. And the day after tomorrow, we have an interview. Yeah, pretty much we've been stacking interviews about every other day and just trying our best to catch up on the days between while we're driving and things. So it's been pretty busy.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, you guys, how many miles do you think you're going to put on that new van of yours? How many miles do you think you guys are going to put on that?
New is an interesting term. It already has 300,000 miles on it before we started this trip.
And we've put almost 4 on it so far. Man, probably about 80 to 100 if it makes it that far. Or otherwise, we'll just go home, get my Tacoma, and get a U-Haul of Valor to pull behind it with our crap. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We're gonna make it work. We're not gonna not do it. So
you'll upgrade to an RV.
What's that? An RV?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's an idea, right? They're already built. You don't even have to gut it.
They're expensive though.
If somebody's willing to donate one, we'll happily accept it.
You never know. Somebody might hear this story. Now, so I know that. So
come on. One at a time. If you're out there and you want to donate an RV, reach out to them on the creativespot.com, which is on the screen right here. If you want to donate an RV.
Because there are places that do donate vehicles, especially for good causes like this. So all of these interviews that you guys are doing, I know every single one of them is touching and every one of them hits you in a different way. And they're going to be unforgettable no matter what. One thing just that I'm picking up from this is that you are picking up stories that nobody would probably ever hear. And you're not letting those go to the grave with them. And I love that because especially with our Vietnam veterans, there's so many stories that are going untold, that have went untold, that we'll never know. And for you guys to be able to capture that is something so beautiful. So my question to you is there one in particular that just tugged and it's immensely special to you? And I know you're going to run into so many more, but is there one that you can share with us that is just,
Want to go? Or?
Something that you're so happy you got.
I have a story that's so there's two, both Gold Stars, both very young Army reservist girls that were killed along with one of their sergeants on the border of Jordan doing horizontal drilling into Syria in an ISIS drone strike. And the tough thing about it is, you know, I don't think any soldier is just a girl. They did enlist in the Army, but they just seemed like they were right out of high school. Like everything their family walked to, they didn't have the fight in them like Ingrid English had. They were just, I don't know, looking for school, and their parents were still trying so hard to make sense of it all, but it's nonsensical. There was no enemy. It was, you know, so I guess kind of how we get people with drone strikes, I guess when the shoe's on the other foot, it hits you a different way because you're like, what the hell? There was no enemy. There was, I mean, 1 minute they're working and next minute, you know, whatever comes back to Dover. And it was just kind of hard to wrap my head around, although there's stories I know that are much more personal to me, and will be told later on and stuff, other people that I know. But for the time being, I'm really having also trouble wrapping my head around what that was. And I don't think the media is telling what it was. And I don't know. But anyway, it's just a weird story that those three soldiers died that way. Yeah.
We were able to meet with the family of Brianna Moffett, and she was, oh my goodness, she was the oldest of the children, and she was the mama figure. That's what the mom said about her. She was like, she was a mama to anyone who was either her friends, her siblings, or anybody else. And so it was just hearing
athlete, a drum
major in the high school marching band.
This and that.
Yeah, just a stellar student. And then she was plucked too soon, I guess. I guess it's never easy to explain it, but an easy way of explaining it, they were just plucked. And then the other was Kennedy Sanders, the other girl from Waycross, Georgia. And it's amazing to see how the town has rallied behind her story. There's a mural of her pretty much in the center of town. There's purple ribbons all along the street that's been renamed after her. And oh my goodness, that so far has been the most heart-wrenching stories that we've acquired so far. When dealing with Purple Heart recipients who are alive to tell the tale, it's a little bit easier to digest because they are here to tell the tale. And when it's the Gold Star family of the people trying to make sense of it all as we're asking questions and not trying to be too pushy, because we're not journalists. We're not trying to get the tears for the sake of the camera or get that heart-wrenching story for that award. No, we're just trying to get these genuine accounts of who these people are. And I hope that answers your question.
That's a really good way to put it, because the Morrisons and Tavera, like a lot of these people know us and trust us, and they know us because we're not going to try to dig deeper. If we see they're, if they're not feeling it, back off a little bit and not going for that blood and guts headline that CNN would want or whomever would want. But but Tavera's story, I don't know if you know Joel Tavera's story, when he was hit with a 120 millimeter rocket, his vehicle was anyway, and the other soldiers were killed. His door was open and he got ejected and survived, but the level of burns and damage to that man, and his eyeball like sizzled out as he was still alive on fire, and he's blind, his whole world flipped upside down, and but his outlook, he's so positive, and that's what's incredible. It's like
all the time.
So
Joel is amputee, he's blind, he's burned on, I want to say a little more than 85% of his body. At one point in time, he was labeled as the second most wounded person recorded to live with his wounds. And I've never not seen Joel with a smile on his face, or just being positive about everything. And when I see Joel and the way he carries himself, and I'm having a bad day, I'm like, what the hell do I have to be sad about or angry about? This dude right here is living his best life, and here I am wallowing in my shit.
Yeah,
It's hard, and I mean, Joel will be the first one to crack a blind joke, he'll be the first one to crack a burn joke, an amputee joke, and it's like, oh, did he just say that? Can I say that? What's going on here?
So that kind of reminds me of Shiloh Harris.
He's more other able than Shiloh.
Mm.
Yeah, and we've Kevin and I both know Shiloh, and we've known Shiloh for a while too.
Yeah, Shiloh's awesome.
Yeah, so we had Shiloh on with Eric Knowles and another comedian, and man, I tell you what, Article 15 comedy, and man, I tell you what, that was my cheeks were hurting for days after having them three on, and it was just amazing. And then to get to hear Shiloh's story as much as, because I'm like you guys, I don't. Like, I'll ask you questions, but I only want you to tell me what you feel comfortable telling me. So I don't pry into people and say, well, what happened here? What happened there? And so forth, because it's if I don't pry, then you're going to tell me what you want me to know, or you want the people out here to know. And, it's just, that's being respectful, from coming from a military guy to another military guy that, received a Purple Heart or whatever. You just, hey, do you feel comfortable talking about it? Then that's as far as it goes, and you talk what you want to talk. So, that's where I think you guys are doing something amazing, because when you're going and you're talking to these Purple Heart veterans and you're talking to these Gold Star families, they know that you're not going to pry too deep, because those wounds are probably still deep, and it brings up.
There's no probably.
Yeah.
There's no probably. It's especially like a Memorial Day coming up. You ask the Morrisons, the last Monday in May isn't the only day that they remember Scott.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They remember him every day, especially on his anniversary, right? They remember the knock on the door. They remember the words verbatim. I know Don and Kelly, and spend time with them and a lot of time with them, and they remember. It's something that doesn't go away. And there's God, how many we've met? Probably 100+ families through Warrior Weekend, Kevin. Gold Star families that they'll all tell you they remember everything. And it's been 20 years, 25 years for some of them.
Yeah, which makes it hard when unlike Shiloh or whatever, when you've been shot or whatever it is, and you're not really showing all the wounds. I could more or less live a normal life. They never can.
Yeah.
I gave all I could, but maybe there was more. Who knows? You always ask yourself that, right?
Yeah, there's always that thought in the back of your head. What else could I have done?
But you are doing.
Yeah.
You are giving more. Right now you're giving opportunity for people to talk, to share, the ones that want to or what they will. And I don't know exactly what the end game is with this, but I have a feeling that it's probably bigger than what you two realize. On a whim, you guys went and got a truck, and you're doing something so beautiful and so touching that I think this is going to end up bigger than you can imagine, and the results from it and what that's going to bring to so many people is going to be something so beautiful that you're not going to be able to stop. And it's going to drive you to do so much more. And that's, looking at all three of you here, and it's like you three men, you signed the line, you served, and every one of you at times think I could have done so much more. And all three of you are doing so much more. And it's the piece that you bring to people. And I know that Willis says this a lot, like doing the podcast is something that really helps him as well. It's a calming, he always feels selfish for that. You shouldn't. None of you should for anything that you're doing, but there is something to what you're doing and what you're sharing with others that helps you too. And there's nothing wrong with that. It almost makes it that much more better that you're able to bring a little bit of peace to yourself, but look at what you're doing for everybody else too. And that just, it makes it that much greater. I can't wait to see what this turns into. And I can't wait till somebody donates an RV and you guys are going all over the place and getting as much as you can, and how many books you're going to come up with, or videos, and just things that people can hold on to forever, that'll never go away.
Yeah.
And learning those names. Like, you want to talk about, they always say the last time the name is said, you're never going to allow that to happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's something that those warriors are going to live on forever.
Yeah.
People are who they are.
Yeah, as long as we speak their name, their memory will last on forever. Yes. Frank DeMyth, who is an author, he says, "Survivor's guilt. I have lived with it for decades." So Frank wrote the book of Vital Interest. Amazing guy. We had him on the show. He's amazing. Yeah, survivor's guilt is one of those things, man. It's hard to deal with. Very hard to deal with. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that.
Good point.
So, are you guys setting up the tent and doing any of the art stuff while you guys are out and about, or are you just capturing the stories?
Just the stories. We couldn't do the tent because, I mean, like, logistically, we have this van and a few boxes on the top and things, which we have to live out of for a year and a half to 2 years in climates as hot as South Florida to as cold as Maine. And, you know, just packing for all the different months, the different things, we had to be very minimalist, you know, long underwear right alongside a bathing suit, you know, and it's literally what we had to do, and not a lot of anything frivolous. So, well, we have our surfboards strapped to the side, although we've only gone out once when we were in somewhere on the other side of Florida. But I don't know, it was like a calming day and nice to take a day for ourselves, but somehow it had a little bit of guilt with it, which is weird, because it's like we're pounding the day after day after day our souls in our own way, for the greater good and for these people's names to be remembered, every one of them. But it takes its toll on us. So it's like, hey, let's take a day off and let's go surfing, and after that, let's go get some tacos and beers and just not work. And next thing you know, tacos and a few beers in, it's like, damn, you want to go home and do some work? Like, we got to get some things done. Like, what are we doing right now? We've wasted 5 hours. So that's what we did, is went back and continued to work. So yeah.
Well,
I mean, I will say, don't forget to take that time for yourself. You know, just as much as I do, that compassion fatigue is real, that mental fatigue is real. So you have to take that time for yourself and each other and that one there. So Sonny doesn't want to be forgotten about, but, you know, take that time for yourselves and take that time to just connect with each other, you know, continue to connect with each other, especially living in that confined space. And, you know, I know that the nerves and, you know, agitations and the me-isms, all that stuff can play a part in it, but, you know, take that time for yourselves and for each other.
Yes, dear. Yes, dear.
Hey, you might be sleeping on the hood tonight. Be careful.
I know, right? I know.
And you are in Florida, so it might rain in 5 minutes, so you never know.
Yeah. We lived in COVID for almost a year together on a boat, so we got used to the confined quarters, and you know, breakups meant one goes on the deck and one stays in the galley, and that can't last long that way. So, you know.
Hey, at least I'm late to step out onto now. Like, you can get more than 10 feet away from each other.
Yeah.
Now we can walk circles around the van or go for a walk. But when we were living on that boat for a little while, there was an incident where he broke up with me. So just to get that part clear. And he's so furious. We were just like, I gotta get away. Let me go up. So he went up top to just sit on the deck, and he had control of the radio. Well, I had the food and everything else on the inside of the boat, and I was just doing my schoolwork and whatnot. And so he has control of the radio, and he loops Bob Marley's
the helm too, though.
No Woman, No Cry.
I had the helm. I had fishing poles. I didn't have any water, no fresh water.
That on loop. And so when the radio finally changed from from No Woman, No Cry to Three Little Birds, he popped his head down and apologized, and that was it. We ever since that we worked through every single argument, or else I'll just put on No Woman No Cry and leave him to it.
Yeah.
Kevin, you got hungry, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, she had she had everything. The head, she had everything.
I love it that he broke up with her and she's like, I was just doing schoolwork and whatever.
I'm still chilling down here. Enjoy, I don't know, whatever you have up there.
Yeah, he's got to work through whatever happened in his head. I'll just keep doing everything else to keep us afloat.
Literally.
So you guys recently toured the Bob Hope Village. Was that today?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was today.
Oh, how was that?
It was it's an interesting place. It's a lot of widows in there. As far as to Candace's point earlier, human life is human life, and we're compassionate for everyone. So we spent a lot of time talking to a lot of widows and stuff, but we didn't find the Purple Heart stories that we thought we may find, or even the combat stories. However, we came across a story of an MC-130 navigator who was on the ground. Well, he was throwing soldiers out the back, and then later of his plane, and then later dropping Marines into Grenada. And Sam, were you in Grenada, or were you in? No,
I'm
Haiti,
not that old.
Haiti. Yeah,
Haiti.
yeah, that's
We were in Haiti, yeah.
Haiti. But it was like, wow, okay, that's a story. So we heard some cool stories while we were there, but yeah, we didn't get exactly what we were looking for. However, ripples in the water. You never know who knows somebody, and we're going to get a random call that someone's going to want to talk, and we'll be at their doorstep.
Yeah,
You
leave them your number, and then they're going to run into somebody and says, and then it'd be like, oh, you're a Purple Heart veteran? Here, I got these people that might want to talk to you. Yeah, that ripple effect. We talk about that all the time in the veteran community, because a small ripple can turn into a tsunami, which would be amazing for you guys if you got people reaching out to you guys and saying, hey, I got this Purple Heart veteran here that you might want to hear his story. And I'm thinking of one because our guest last night, if I remember correctly, he was a Purple Heart veteran. He was a 68 whiskey. He was with the Lurch unit. I want to say he was a Purple Heart, but I'm not sure. I'll have to reach back out to him and ask him. If he is, I'm gonna say, hey, you need to get with these guys.
Oh, for sure.
So I have to share this comment because it's Dawn. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. So this is my Marine that stopped and saw me earlier and checked in. And so we were having a conversation. This will go good for all of you. And so him and his wife are coming up on 45 years this year. And I was like, what is the secret? And I'll tell you what, I have talked to several people about this lately and that have been together for, 30, 40 plus years. And I'm like, what's the secret? Every single one of these men have been like, yes, ma'am. You just say yes, ma'am. But Don threw out another good point today. Lauren, as long as he can apologize, you can fix it. Just say you're sorry, Kevin.
I do. Yes, ma'am.
There you go.
Quick learner.
Not me.
Yeah, not me either.
Hey, just put your hands in your pocket, Kevin, and say, I'm sorry. You know how to do that.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're out there watching this live with us right now, or if you're watching it later and you're a Purple Heart veteran, Gold Star family member, reach out to the Van of Valor, so the creativespot.com, which I'm going to throw back up on the screen. There is an email on there at the bottom that you can reach out to. Is your phone number on the website as well?
It is. Yep. My personal cell phone's out there. So call me anytime I need that. Seriously.
So if you know of a great story, or not a great story because none of them are great, but if you know of a Purple Heart veteran out there or a Gold Star family that might want to tell the story of whatever, reach out to Mr. Kevin and Miss Lauren there and say, hey, well, we want you to come up to our neck of the woods, whether it's Minnesota or Texas, wherever. Reach out to them for sure. That way they can complete their mission. So you said
Anywhere we
earlier
can
that
ride.
this was 1 year to 2
Anywhere we
year.
can ride. Yeah, well, we want the book, the first part we want done and published by America's 250th. So that gives us about a year to start writing. However, we're going to write from the road and continue the mission as we're doing that. So we'll throttle back slightly, and it's important to us to get that done by America's 250th, because I think that might be what keeps us going, maybe the nudge. And I think there'll be if nothing else, a ceremonious boost in patriotism around the country, and that's our goal. That's how we make sure Scott Morrison and so many other are not forgotten. And it is making sure people remember their names and know their stories. And to go back to Brianna Moffett, her mom was saying when she was coming back from that deployment, she was planning her birthday tour. What she said, she's going to do all these things, and her number one thing was to go to a Nicki Minaj concert. I don't care about Nicki Minaj or her music, but if Nicki Minaj knew who Brianna Moffett were, I would change my whole outlook on it. If Nicki Minaj would make a song about Brianna and what she meant. So that's what I mean. It's I feel like everything's backwards in a lot of ways, and the people we idolize are not maybe idols at all. However, I will eat my crow if Nicki Minaj hears this and pays a tribute to Brianna or that family. Dear God, I'll forever be a follower of your music. And yeah, I mean that. Like, yeah, we gotta remember our veterans, and we really have to remember the sacrifice, and that comes in all veterans and all combat veterans. But there's something about shedding blood, and there's definitely something about the ultimate sacrifice that, and it's important, I think, that we weave those sacrifices into the consciousness of everyday Americans all the time, not to traumatize them, but when they're sitting down, it shouldn't just be at Mission Barbecue when they're there at maybe you call it the wrong time of day or the right time of day when they play the national anthem and you stand up. But I don't want people to live in exactly like a militant society, but I would love people daily to just think about the sacrifice that allows this lifestyle that we all live.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
that's really
we all pass a road sign that's dedicated to a fallen service member every day, right? Yeah. When you get home, research and see who that person was. I gave a speech Memorial Day a few years ago, and not even knowing it, there was a road sign, right in my sight. And when I was talking about guys that I served with that were from Northern Kentucky that I recruited or helped recruit, that are no longer with us, I looked over that sign and said that person's name. And at the end, the dad came up to me. I had no clue that he was going to be in the crowd. And he goes, let's go have a talk. So we went and we talked about his son. We talked about his son's aspirations. We talked about certain memorials and dedications that have been done in honor of him or around the area. And he's like, thank you for remembering. Yeah, I never met him. I never met Daniel Lee. But I pass that road sign every time I go to work. I pass it every time I come back from start. It's at the top of the hill. And, I never took the opportunity to look and see who that was until his dad approached me and told me about him. And now when I pass a road sign, I look up and see who that person was. So I know for me, when I pass that sign, who that person is, who he was to his family, who he was to his wife, his kids, his parents, who he was in the community, at his school, if he was a football player, basketball player, whatever, right? They're just regular people like you and I that took the time to sign their name on. It's not a dotted line anymore because we do have, solid lines, but they took the time to sign their name on that line, knowing that sometime, somewhere, the opportunity for war or conflict may happen, right? We don't get to pick and choose when that happens.
Yeah.
I know guys that did 10 years, 15 years, and never saw war or conflict. I know guys that were in for a month, and their first experience in the fleet was being deployed to a combat zone. I know that because I picked them up from the School of Infantry and deployed them 10 days after they graduated.
Jesus. Yeah.
guys that did 4 full combat deployments before their first 4 years was up without having to extend or re-enlist.
It's that importance of more than, it's more than just a soldier. It's more than just a dog tag. They were people that had a life and dreams and goals. And I think that's one of these things that I love about this, especially talking to the families, is like you said, it's just, you learn about them. Now, when you pass out, it's not just a name that you don't know anything about. No. It's, you know about that person, and it becomes personal to you. And yeah, it is. If Frank said that loud and clear, there's a huge disconnect between the citizens and the military, and an understanding that people don't have, and they forget that's another human, you know, and they forget that it takes a village. So that so many times it takes a village. That's my new line. I got it, Willis. It is. Because I've said that so many times. It really does. It doesn't matter what color you are, what you are, where you came from. I always say you came out of the same kind of hole, you're going in the same kind of hole, and respect each other the same. And it just, if you have an opportunity to learn something about somebody, and especially somebody that gave their life for you, how long does that take? As long as it would take to text somebody, I mean, you look all the way, or all the time, just look up a name.
Yeah.
Learn about them.
Man, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, almost 7% of our complete population from the inception of the United States to now has served. Of that, a little over 1% has seen conflict or war. And probably 90% of that 1%, 2% is Korea forward. Korea, Vietnam, Korea, World War II, World War I, all the way back.
Yeah. You know, every time that people say numbers like that, it baffles me because, as you guys know, I'm a civilian. I am a Marine wife. My daddy is my hero. He was the Army. But, you talk about 7% served. And that's blasphemy to me because, like, in my life, it makes me realize how deep into the community that I've been, because the reality to me is I feel like 7% are civilians because everybody is surrounded. I surround myself with this life. And so the reality of that number is crazy. But then you eventually get out and talk to some people, and, I guess one of those where they say that ignorance is bliss. For some it is, but you realize how much ignorance there is to this community and what happens and what is needed so desperately within it. I love what you guys are doing. This is one of those, like, it hits your heart a little bit. That's a lot, a whole lot of it. Really beautiful. But I have to bring up, because I looked up on the website and I was excited because there is a QR code. Look, I feel my age now. I was going to say barcode. There is a QR code, and there is a button where anybody that's watching this and says it doesn't touch your heart, you're full of shit, because it does. And they're doing something beautiful, and everybody I know is going to be excited about what you're doing. Get on that, thecreativespot.com, and hit that donate button, because they can use it. And all these RV places, like, what is it, Campers World? You got an extra one. You can give it. Yeah. RV with a little trailer behind it so they can carry more than a bathing suit and a coat.
Yeah, Marcus Lemonis definitely got some money.
Yeah. They always have the biggest flags. Hey, represent.
Oh, no, they don't.
Well, they're big.
Team Fast Tracks has the biggest flags.
But they're big.
Let's not get anybody. Let's not fool anybody.
They're patriotic, Sam. They're patriotic. Oh, really, get on that site and donate to this, because to keep them going on this mission, how cool would that be to be a part of that? Just, $5, $10, $20, whatever you want to do. It's what you got. If you got somewhere along the nation that is a great place, and you know that there are some Purple Heart or Gold Star families, and you got a place that they can park this big old thing and bring some people in, get a hold of them. I'm sure that would help, having a place to go and even some more contacts. But
Yeah, stable internet access, because hopefully this has been good, but we are on a Starlink.
No, you've been good. You've been better than Candace, and she's in her house. So
have I froze
What are you
tonight?
on?
A little bit.
just
Really?
a little bit, Candace. Yeah.
You did the max headroom.
But no, you guys, I love your mission. I love what you were doing. I can't wait to see the first book to come from this. And
Yeah.
I sitting back here just listening, I had goosebumps a while ago because freedom isn't free, and people forget that all the time.
Yeah.
Too many brothers and sisters have paid the ultimate sacrifice, and unfortunately, there's 22 a day that still is fighting that battle and wind up losing that battle here on the home front. And we need to reach out, lend a hand, lend an ear, and we need to catch them before they get to that ledge, before they step over that ledge. So I love what you guys are doing. Frank says if Van of Valor ever travels up through the eastern panhandle of West by God, Virginia, I'll take care of them. So
Right. Perfect.
Frank is amazing. You guys will love Frank. He's awesome. But if you're ever in West Virginia, Frank, you'll have to send them an email so they can get, have your phone number and stuff, Frank. That way, if they are in West Virginia, they can come hang out with you. So Frank, created the translator program in the Army, and so he said a while ago, he said every one of the 1,500 plus people we recruited in my program went straight from AIT to a unit that was deployed or deploying. So yeah, he's got a heck of a story. Let me tell you, he's got a heck. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, if you guys are ever in West Virginia, look up Frank, and I'm sure you're coming through Kentucky.
Yeah.
When you come through Kentucky, me and Gunny and Candace will have to meet up with you and buy you lunch and hang out with you, and hopefully we can find some people that you can talk to here in Kentucky. So
I think there's one on the screen. There's one on the screen. He can't hide.
yeah, he's right there. Yeah, right there.
Oh, I don't,
Yeah.
yep. He's that way for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got you. Don't worry about it.
So Frank just put his website. So it's frankthemythauthor.com if y'all want to look him up. He said his phone number's on his website, is why he gave you the website. But no, you guys have been amazing. So where y'all heading after Florida? I don't think y'all said where y'all were heading next.
We met an Army veteran through the same cruise, the Warrior cruise that Sam introduced me to. And he's up in Alabama. I can't remember the name of the town, but he's just about 2 hours north of here. So we're going that way. And then we're working our way up through, through the South, up kind of to the Midwest. And then we're going to shoot up and do New England and wrap around and be back in Ohio before the Warrior Weekend to Remember. And then a week after that, the Zons invited us to a Vietnam Helicopters Pilots Association dinner in, I want to say, St. Louis.
Mhm.
So then we'll head down, and then from there we're going to head west and start hitting the states out west. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, love Bob and Angie.
Yeah.
Amazing people. Bob's life story, Bob's life events. He was a Huey gunship pilot during Vietnam. 4 flying crosses. I can't tell you how many. I think 26 air medals, Purple Heart. Yeah, he's Bob's become a really good friend of mine. Him and Angie both. So yeah, his story is phenomenal, beyond. And I'm honored enough to be in the room when he talks and to hear his life events.
Wow. I'm sorry to admit, last time I did spend that amount of time with, and he told me that it's you remember the stage of my life, Sam, but I was typically really drunk, and I don't really, that's a sad thing when you go through that phase, is I had all these great conversations with people and I grasped at straws. Eventually I put them back together, but I spent a good couple of years drunk. So that was right in there. Anyway.
Yeah, unfortunately, that happens to the best of us. We go down those rabbit holes and self-medicate to deal with some of the issues and demons that we're faced with on a daily occurrence. But the indie nurse from TikTok says she's in Indiana. She has an amazing, well, I don't want to say amazing. She's got a story to tell. So I'll have to get you guys connected. With Miss Indy Nurse, because I think she's in Indianapolis, and her story is something that needs to be told as well. So
okay,
we have talked about, heard about, and listened to. Now we all need to see something.
Okay, I'll grab her.
Come here.
She's part of it.
All right, here's Cujo. Here's Cujo.
Oh, hi, Sonny. Look at that babe. Sounds like she wanted to go out west.
Can I pet that dog?
Well, people keep walking dogs by, and she thinks she's protecting her yard, but she doesn't have a yard. It varies, and she doesn't get this concept yet. So I can't get mad at her for what she's doing, but she'll get used to it.
And she's older too, right? So she's a little bit more crabby than she used to be. And
yeah.
She's 11. She'll be 12 this year.
The goodness, the baby. Everybody, watch out for Sonny. Make sure.
Yeah.
Are there any dietary restrictions? So if people want to bring something for Sonny,
pup cup. Pup
All right.
cup.
Loves those.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
The puppuccinos. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she does.
So Miss Indy says she has a guest room for y'all to stay in too if y'all need one. So I've been in Indianapolis. So
and a hot shower.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Okay.
So I will make that connection. Email Miss Indy. I will message you and get your email and connect you guys via email. So that way, if you're up in that area, you can stay in her guest house and have a hot meal too.
Look out there. Indy Nurse, he's throwing you out there. I'm sure she's more than happy, but
oh yeah, for sure.
Hey, there's a great diner in Speedway. I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, we have hot meals. I barbecue every night in this camping.
There you go.
Unless it's raining, then Uber Eats. But yeah.
Heck yeah. What's up, Mr. Ty Cobb from Triple Threat Vets Podcast? Hey, Ty Cobb, you need to have Band of Valor on the Triple Threat Vet Podcast.
absolutely.
Especially when they come out west, because he's in Texas, he's in Houston. Definitely need to have them on the show. That way you can talk about your mission on their show, and we'll connect you with like Misfit Nation and a few other podcasts as well. So
yeah, they just did Roof.
Yeah. You just were on Brian Roof's podcast every day is a Saturday. Awesome.
Yeah. That was awesome.
He's a good guy. Yeah, I've known Brian for a couple years now. He's a pretty cool cat. But unfortunately, we do have to let you guys go because Wreaths Across America Radio says we have to keep it to about an hour. Is there anything that we didn't touch on that you want to touch on before we let you go?
Thank you.
Just two things. At the end of this project, like we said, we'll have a coffee table style book where you'll be able to flip through and see pictures of Americana from sea to shining sea while getting to stop and read the stories of what keeps our freedom free. So that's our little tagline for the book going on right now. And in addition to the book, the stories that we are collecting will be compiled into a repository that'll be donated to the Library of Congress at the completion of this mission so that they can be referenced for academia, personal use, or any kind of thing like that. So it's not like people are telling us their stories and they're just going to be a book that sits solely on a shelf. No, these will be able to be referenced for generations to come.
Yep, that's a good point. She brings up that she is working with the university system, so people will be able to reference it in schools forever.
Wow.
To include
awesome.
Gut's story.
Wow.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I can't wait for you guys to come into Kentucky and we get to meet face to face and just sit down and have a a good conversation face to face.
Well, you're coming to Warrior Weekend, right? So they'll be
I
at
should
Warrior
be,
Weekend.
Oh yeah.
But anywho, we're going to drop you guys down to the back and we're going to close up the show. If you want to hang out for just a few more minutes, once we close the show out, we'll talk to you for a few more minutes, if that's cool.
Okay. All right, thanks.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you guys
Thanks
for
for
coming
having us
on and hanging out with us.
Yeah, love you guys. Stay safe.
Love you too.
Man, how cool was that? That was super freaking
No
cool.
matter what I had going on today, I was not missing this one.
Yeah.
You know, I've watched Kevin's journey, and dude, proud is an understatement.
Yeah, I can see it right now. I mean, I didn't know Kevin beforehand, but man, just to see the journey that they're on and what their mission is, it's amazing. I mean, because unfortunately, too many veterans go to the grave without telling their story. World War II veterans, Vietnam veterans, we're losing them.
Well,
too
even
fast.
our generation, right?
Yeah.
A lot of our generation doesn't want to talk about what they went through, right? It's a traumatic event. And, you know, I talk about it all the time that it's a lot of us have experienced things that the normal population won't experience unless you're an EMT or a police officer, you know, a first responder. You know, outside of that, the things that we saw, the things that we were part of, people aren't going to see that, right?
Yeah.
You know, doctors, nurses, stuff like that. But you're talking about a very small population that have seen the things that we've seen.
Yeah.
That have experienced the things that we've experienced. And a lot of people don't want to talk about it. And, you know, those demons eat at you and eat at you and eat at you. And sometimes the demons get the best of you, whether it's through self-medication, whether it's through, you know, ending your life. But, you know, the more and more that we tell our stories, the more and more we talk about our life events, the less the demons take over.
Yeah. So there's a song that I created last night for I want to get the verse here and share it because this is kind of plays into what we're talking about right now. I'm going to throw it here in chat and then I'm going to put it up on the screen. This right here. We need to listen, lend a hand, catch them before they lose where they stand. Let them know they're not alone in the fight. Hold on through the dark into the light. That right there is just so powerful because we talk about it all the time, Gunny and Candace. We talk about that all the friggin' time. We need to listen. We need to be somebody's stranger. You're not alone. We have to see the signs that we as veterans we like to hide, you know, because we're very good at hiding what's going on with our internal struggles. So we definitely need to be out there and do that. But unfortunately, it is that time of night. Gunny, let's go with this. This is you.
Yeah, you're not alone. You still have worth. You still have value. You know, don't let the dark days win. Surround yourself with people that are going to bring you up, not tear you down.
Miss Candace?
No.
That's
No,
you,
you want me
Willis.
to run with it? All right,
She's
I'll
got-
run
she-
with it.
She's got her
Mama.
own.
Hashtag be someone stranger. We as humans, we're more apt to talk to a complete stranger than the ones we love the most. So be somebody stranger today. And what I mean by that is if you're out and about and you're in the world and doing the people thing today and you see somebody having a bad day, go up to them and say, "Hey, how you doing?" And if they say, I'm okay, I'm living the dream, I'm hanging in there, the telltale signs, then you have to do this right here. Miss Candace.
She's got her own. You got to do that
Okay.
one too, Willis.
Thanks, Sam.
You have to ask the next hard question. You have to ask the next hard question. Hey, how are you really doing? And be ready for that conversation. It could be a 5-hour conversation, could be a 5-minute conversation. You just have to be ready for that conversation. So be
You know
ready
what?
for it.
You know
And then
what?
Candace, go ahead.
You know why?
Why?
It takes a village.
I need to make that for you. It takes a village.
Because when you have a village, you're not alone, and you can be somebody's stranger. That's what this world needs. We need more kindness. We need more hands up. Make somebody smile. They might not have had it that day. It really does take a village.
Definitely. Frank says I joke a lot because inside I'm in tears. And then Mr. Ty Cobb says we keep it light until it's time to get dark, and then we go pitch black. But yeah, I want to give a big shout out to our partners here, Heroes Media Group, Reach Across America Radio, Veteran Voice Radio, and Military United podcast streams. And also, I want to give a shout out to Elite Engraving. They are a veteran-owned company here in Kentucky, in Campbellsburg, Kentucky. Amazing. Our hats that I just ordered will be shipped tomorrow. So when they come in, I need y'all to tag HomeFront Sitrep with you wearing those hats. I can't wait to get them. Our coins will be here tomorrow. I'm super friggin' excited about that. Great. We got some great shows coming up next weekend. I know, Gunny, you're going to be when are you out of town, Gunny?
Love you too, Frank.
I don't leave for Japan until the 30th, which is tip of the spear, and then I'm gone until the 6th. So I'm going to miss tip of the spear, and then I'm going to miss that Sunday, Monday. Maybe. I mean, we are like 11, 12-hour time shift, so yeah. I might have to wake up early one of those mornings, as long as it's not a show day, and jump on, via cell phone. Through Iwakuni, Japan.
So Easter Sunday, we don't have a podcast Easter Sunday. And then
absolutely
on
every day.
What's that?
Because that day doesn't need to be celebrated anyways. Like, I'll celebrate the eggs, but that's it.
And then on the 21st, we got Operation Teammate, which is going to be a really cool episode. I need to reach out to them. And then the 27th, we got Mr. Scott Story coming on. And then on the 28th, we got Miss Shay Sparks. She's another veteran podcaster with the Shay Sparks Show. And then to round out April, we got the Tip of the Spear on the 30th. Haven't came up with a topic for that one yet. So I'm going to have to play around with some topics and see what we want to talk about on the next Tip of the Spear. But, Gunny, you want to take us out of here tonight, my friend?
Not really. I mean, it's been a great episode. Don't want to end it.
No, I don't either. That's why I keep talking about other things. I don't want to end it.
But like we always say on HomeFront Sitrep, stay safe out there. We got your 6.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this show.
Suggestions and comments are always welcome.
Cannot wait to have another great show with y'all.
Don't forget you can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Stay safe out there. I got your 6.